There may be some people in the United Kingdom who aren't aware of Peanut the squirrel, but Peanut has caused quite a fuss in the USA. Well, a post-mortem fuss, because he was confiscated from his owner and disposed of by some arm of the American government. I've avoided talking about it simply because, being in Britain, I don't know what the rules are in America about such matters. But, well, I'm giving in to pressure now. I'm Grannyopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. I still can't talk about the legal aspects of it. I don't know. I haven't gone into them. But this is an article in something called the Kingston Report, and it says Peanut's wrongful seizure and death is to send a message to Americans that during the next pandemic you won't be secure in your houses or protected against unreasonable searches and seizures. I'm not so sure it was intended to send a message, but it will be used as a precedent, that's for sure. And this is the story. Last week, a pet squirrel named Peanut was unlawfully seized from his owner, Mark Longo, in upstate New York, and euthanized by New York's Department of Environmental Conservation. Again, I can't say it was unlawful because I don't know what the law is, and this person could be wrong. But certainly the squirrel was confiscated. And how did Mark Longo get this squirrel? Well, according to the New York Post, Peanut was orphaned 7 years ago as a baby squirrel when his mother was hit by a car. Mark Longo rescued Peanut and attempted to have the baby squirrel admitted to wildlife shelters, but none would take him in. So Mr. Longo took Peanut in himself, bottle-fed him and provided him a safe place to stay until he was fully grown. That's about 8 months, according to this. After releasing Peanut into the wild, the rescued squirrel returned to the front door of Longo's residence less than 48 hours later, with half of his tail missing. Of course, the poor little chap had become domesticated and didn't really know how to look after himself in the wild. I am not blaming Mr. Longo for that. He had very little choice. He had no choice at all, actually. He could have just dumped the squirrel and let it die out in the wild anyway. Without its mother, it was completely unviable, and the wildlife shelters wouldn't take him. So what's a man to do? So Mark Longo made something good out of this situation. He took him to local schools and events. I do wish that would stop doing that. Took him to local schools and events as an educational wildlife animal. Mr. Longo was in the process of getting Peanut's educational animal license when the pet was seized by New York state officials on Wednesday and killed 48 hours later. They say euthanized. The euthanized is a combination of two Greek words. Anything with EU in front of it, well, almost anything with EU in front of it, means good or nice or pleasant in some way. As in eulogy, nice words about somebody. Euphemism, as in a nice way of putting an unpleasant concept. And in this case, euthanasia from the eu and the thanatos, which is the Greek for death. So a good death, which is, in this case, a euphemism. So apparently Trump and J.D. Vance were weighed in on this. Why was it done? Well, I actually don't know why it was done. And I suspect it was one of those things where a department sort of ended up doing stuff out of just rolling along on momentum. And everybody in that department were relinquishing responsibility. Nobody stood up and said, this shouldn't be happening. This is, I don't know what the laws are, but I'm assuming this squirrel could be considered an exception to the law. But of course, departments in bureaucracies find exceptions very difficult to deal with. Exceptionally difficult, you might say. Anyway, watch this 50-second video of J.D. Vance and Peanut.
So I know Don's fired up about Peanut the squirrel. We were on the way down here from Cincinnati. He was like, is it really the case that the Democrats murdered the Elon Musk of squirrels? And I said, yeah, it sounds like, have you seen the videos of this squirrel? Yeah. He's a genius, or he was, unfortunately. But the same government that doesn't care about hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrant criminals coming into our country doesn't want us to have pets. It's the craziest thing.
Peanut was the best thing that ever happened to us. And we got confirmation that they put him down.
Okay, so what happened, according to that, was that some people were making complaints to the department. Right, so I've just seen that. And of course, a bureaucracy department has to answer a complaint. I don't know why anyone was making that complaint, but it sounds to me like something spiteful. And there is absolutely no answering for spite. And I'm talking about it now because just recently this has happened in Britain. You have to register as if you you had to register if you farmed birds, like chickens or whatever. But now, even if you have a couple of pet chickens on the lawn, and the thing is, they're saying, you've got to number how many you have. How would you know? It could lay a couple of eggs. I mean, a chicken could lay 2, 3, 4. I mean, they lay eggs every day. How would you know what the population of your birds is? But this is what's going on. It's so that if we get an avian flu outbreak in the country, they can come round and kill your pets. And again, it's all part of this whole thing about stopping people from owning animals or controlling them in some way, especially, and we're back to the farmers, aren't we? Especially attacking people who provide food for us. They'll say, it's to protect the food producers. But what it will do is it will protect the big food producers, and it will drive all the small food producers out of business. And this is another example. A squirrel is not a food producer. I know that. But it was a joy. This little chap was a joy producer. He was a little independent voice of teaching children about pets and wildlife. And it's funny how things seem to be meshing together in both Britain and the USA, completely independently, but it's what evolutionary scientists call convergent evolution, isn't it? All right, well, R.I.P. Peanut, and I am so sorry for Mr. Longo. He had a real relationship with that little chap. And his neighbours, jealous people, I suppose. All right, till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.